Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Becca and this is my channel where I talk about all the houseplant things. Today we are going to discuss 5 more plants that I have never owned and will never own in the future, hopefully. Like I said, this is a part 2, so if you haven't seen part 1, definitely go check that out. I did mention a plant in that part 1 that I have looked into a little bit more since then, and I'm kind of considering changing my mind. I'm a big proponent for being pliable in life and not really being a person that's like, no, I will never do that. And you know, the video concept sort of suggests that that's the case, but it's a lot shorter to say plants I've never had and never will than say plants I've never had and maybe could have in the future if somebody convinces me and I, you know, have the sudden urge to buy it. That's not really a very clickable video title, so. Today we are doing part 2 and let's get started. First on the list, which I'm actually surprised I didn't think of this before, but bromeliads. I am just not interested in bromeliads at all. I don't find them to be particularly beautiful, and I think that it has something to do with the fact that, as I've mentioned before, I don't really go for colorful plants outside of like the greens and like the different shades of green and white. Bromeliads, they have like a strange growth structure in my mind, and also it's one of those plants where I'm like, how do you even care for that? Like, I know that I would have to do a little bit of research on how to actually care for them to make them happy. I think they're very beautiful when I see them at the nursery. Like, it's one of those plants that I like to visit. I have never had the desire to bring one home, and I don't really think that I ever will. I feel like it's one of those plants that you could buy for somebody as like in lieu of a flower bouquet. Like, you're just buying it for them because it's pretty, but you're not expecting them to keep it alive forever. Kind of like orchids. I'm really tempted to put orchids on this list, but I can't say that I will never own orchids because they are intriguing to me. And I think maybe with the greenhouse, I can try to experiment with some different types of orchids. I saw some really cool orchids when I went shopping in Kansas City. I don't remember where I was. I think not Suburban Lawn and Yard Garden or whatever that one is. Maybe it was Family Tree Nursery in Kansas City. Anyway, they had a bunch of really awesome orchids at the time, and I feel like I could get into them, but again, back to the bromeliads. It's just one of those plants that I think is really pretty for like a point in time, and then it's just like, ew. And eventually the actual plant that you bought will die off, and like hopefully it's put out a pup to continue the bloodline. I think that's how they work. So I don't know, it just seems a little bit stressful. Like, if it doesn't put out a pup, then you've like completely lost the plant, and I just don't think that I really vibe with that. Plus the whole colorful aspect, I don't know, just not very interesting to me. But I do want to say, if you do like these plants in this video, it's not a personal attack. It's just that everybody has different plant styles and things that they're into, and it's just not for me. Next up, and considering the whole plant style thing, is the carnivorous plants. Pretty much all of them. So there's like the Venus flytrap, the nepenthes, the sundew, or what is it actually called? Sundrop or something like that. I am just not really into these because they take a little bit more specialized care. So number one, they need really high humidity, which, I mean, my sunroom right now, it's reading at 40% humidity. And honestly, that could be true because it has been very, very hot lately and not super humid. Honestly, who knows? I guess I have to trust the meter that I purchased. Carnivorous plants just need a lot of humidity and moisture, and you can only water them with distilled water, or I think maybe also you can do rainwater, but distilled is usually the suggestion. And I have said for a while that if my plant is drinking better water than me, then I don't really want it. And there have been times where I've ordered in distilled water, of course, like for my humidifiers and stuff like that. And if I had extra, I would use it on my Gapertia, which were previously known as Calathea. So if you know anything about Calathea, you know that the leaves will fry depending on the type of water that you give them. So if your Calathea have like brown tips and stuff, it's probably more related to your water. And also with other houseplants, it's the same situation. So there's like minerals and things in your water that your plant just can't process, and so it ends up burning the tips of the leaves. This is super common also with like what are the spider plants and stuff like that. So anyway, point is, it's just a lot of extra work that I don't really want to do, especially for a plant that I'm not even that intrigued by to begin with. I think Maybe once I have children and they're of the age where they are starting to understand plants, I would maybe go for like a Venus flytrap or something, because I remember in one of my classrooms in school, we had a Venus flytrap and like it was the coolest thing ever. So I feel like it's more, not that these are more for children, because I don't think that's true. Like anything for children could also be for adults, but I'm just not super intrigued by them. And knowing that they have to have this very specific environment and I would have to possibly feed them, I'm just not really into that. But I have seen people have a carnivorous plant to help control the population of fungus gnats, and I don't know how effective that really is. It's kind of like having a sticky trap, except that it's alive. Definitely do your research about them if you are going to get one though, because it's very different than other houseplants that you can pick up. Okay, every time I mention this one, I get flooded with comments of people mad at me in a nice way, like in a way that's like a kind debate, you know? But Croton. I will never own a Croton, and I never have. Actually, that's false. I did own a Croton very, very, very early on in my plant journey. It was a silver dust Croton or something like that, and I only had it for a couple weeks at most, I'm guessing. It played pretty much zero role in my houseplant collection, so that's why I think that it can make the list, but I'm just not interested in them. Number one, the color thing. I don't like colorful plants. There are some Crotons that are not colorful and they are more like on the green and white spectrum of things, and I think that I saw a Croton in a botanical garden that I really thought was quite nice, but on like in general, Croton just don't speak to me, and I've only ever seen them looking really, really bad in people's homes and in stores. I do see them looking really happy in malls. Like mall plants are on another level. I don't exactly know how mall plants are able to look so good. There's definitely people who maintain them, but like who are these people? They're like houseplant fairies that just come through and water the plants, I guess. But a lot of malls have like a skylight situation, and I think that really helps. But my mall back home in Tucson, it had huge, huge fiddle leaf figs in it and a bunch of other like aglaonema and stuff like that. So I think that there's definitely a place for things like Croton, and it's not in my home. Maybe it's in your home, and I'm really happy for you, but I've never really been drawn to them aside from like at the very, very beginning when I didn't really know what it was. It just needs more light that I'm able to give, and I just don't like it. Plain and simple, just don't like it. Philodendron strawberry shake. There's a few different upright philodendron that I just don't jive with, and in the last video I mentioned the Birkin, and a lot of people agreed with me. It was one of those plants that came in and it was really popular, and then everyone was like, what is this plant, like ew, or like it grew out for a while. Someone said that they had to leave their home for like 3 months in Ukraine, and they came back, and the Birkin was one of the only plants that was alive. So definitely there are people who have had positive experiences with the Birkin, but the just like upright philodendrons, the strawberries and shake, the strawberry, what is it called? I just said it. Philodendron strawberry shake doesn't do it for me. It really reminds me of like a less cool pink princess, or maybe a more cool pink princess. If I had the choice between a strawberry shake and a pink princess, I'd probably choose the strawberry shake, but it just seems like one of those plants that unless it had really, really nice variegation, it just would not look very good. And that is how I feel also about the pink princess. Like when pink princess have big pink margins and like nice colors, they're great, but when they don't have any variegation, they just look like a what is it, like a philodendron ruby or Bloody Mary or something like that. It's just not very exciting. So that is another one for this list. And the last one for this list is the Philodendron Prince of Orange. The concept of this plant is pretty cool. Like the new growth comes in and it's bright orange and very beautiful and cool, but then it, you know, it matures to be just green. And then it's just a green upright philodendron with no variegation and like no cool growth habit. Boring. No, thank you. Yeah, I just am not interested in that one. Also, I keep mentioning it, but the color, like, I don't really like orange very much, just in general. Like, I don't think I own very many orange things. I do have an orange beret and it has like a little leaf on it. Like, it's as if the beret was like an orange that you eat, which is very cute. But in general, like, I'm not drawn to the color orange. Although now that I'm thinking about that and saying that out loud, terracotta is kind of an orangey color. But in general, Prince of Orange, not interesting. Thank you guys so much for watching this video and checking out what plants I have never owned and never will. If there's any plants that you think I missed, that you think I wouldn't like, or that you don't like, or if a plant I said today like struck a chord with you and you're like, no, I love that plant, comment down below. Maybe you can change my mind about something. We will have to see. And I wanted to share that the plant that I sort of changed my mind about since the last video is peperomia. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if it really should have been in that video in the first place, because I do have a watermelon peperomia right now, and I've had other types of peperomia. But the thing is I didn't really know about, or I didn't really acknowledge in my mind, the trailing peperomia. So upright peperomia don't really do it for me, besides like maybe 2 of them. But the trailing peperomia, there's a few that are very cool, like the peperomia beetle or the peperomia scandens. Those are kind of cool. And if I find them at a local nursery, I might try them out. So anyway, we're here for growth, we're here for openness, and I'm willing to change my mind when I've been given new valid information. Before I go on and on, thank you so much for watching this little video. If you're not already, make sure that you subscribe to my channel, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.